Hi guys, so today's video is going to be, dare I call it a rare Q&A? I don't do very many of these at all. I'm thinking at the top of my head I've probably done 3. I don't even know really what the number quite is because I haven't looked back, but I'm going to do a Q&A today. I took to my Instagram and that's where I got these questions. So I asked, for those of you that follow me there, what you want to know. So I got quite a few. So actually what you're going to find in this video is I actually already filmed this and I decided that I got even more questions. I mean, there's just so many. And then there were, I think as I went through the video after I filmed it, there were some that I was kind of like, I don't know. I thought it was kind of boring a little bit. So I'm going to kind of re-edit, but there are some questions I'm going to keep. So you'll kind of see me go back and forth between this look and then a different look because it was, you know, filmed before this. So that's what we're gonna do. So let's get started. I mean, the first one is, who's your favorite J? Girl, please, you know who you are. So I got asked, what's the youngest and oldest range in age would you date and marry? And if they had little kids, is it a deal breaker? I should have run away and fast. That's actually a really good question. So I'm actually attracted to older men. I feel like I kind of, not really, well, in high school, no, because like my high school sweetheart, and actually he was older by 2 weeks. So there we go. But no, like I feel like once I kind of got into my 20s, I kind of had like relationship, like those early 20 relationships. And then I think after those, I started being more attracted to older men. And I think the reason for that was because I was a young single mom and the guys in my age at that time just didn't seem mature enough for me. And so I found myself just being attracted to older guys. And I would say about like 5 to 7 years, I think, is like the range. Not too much older. I feel like that's kind of actually probably pretty standard anyways. But I do like definitely prefer older guys, and still now I feel like I would, yeah. If they had little kids, would it be a deal breaker? I've thought about this actually in the past a lot, and I'd have to say yes, it would be. Love children. I'm obsessed with my niece and nephew, but you know, this is a whole different ballpark of if it becomes serious, you live with them. You know, that's not the life that's not where I'm at in my life. My daughter's, you know, she's 21. And that also answers that I've also been asked, do I want any more kids? And I think I've answered this before, but the answer is no, I do not. For me, it's not appealing at all to want to start over. As a matter of fact, the thought alone, I think traumatizes me a little bit. Like, no. And I've known this since she was like, at the point where she reached 16 years old, I was like, there's no way I would want to do this all over again. So I'm definitely a one child person, but yeah, it would definitely be a deal breaker. I would but like I would know that up front. So knowing that up front, like I wouldn't even like go on a date, you know, and just disappoint, or for both parties, you know. I wouldn't want to find myself falling for somebody to be like, oh my gosh, you have a kid, you know. Because again, I'm not in that time of my life, and I don't think I'll ever be. I did not know she followed me. Lyric Lover Crafts. I'm fangirling right now. I love your channel so much. I will link it down below for you guys. But she asked, how did you take the leap of faith and leave your corporate job to do YouTube full-time? My dream too. That's a hard one. I feel like that's a different journey for everybody. If you're married and you have like 2 incomes, that could be an easier transition for the family. And then there was just me at the time, so I didn't have any kids in daycare, so I didn't have like, you know, those typical expenses and things. But honestly, I pushed it off a lot longer than I should have. I just kept doubting, and I just didn't have the faith, to be honest. And it wasn't until I was run so ragged with my job that I was like, I can't anymore. And I was literally pushed off the edge. And it was like, okay, I'm either gonna crash and burn, but like, I can't do both. And if I have to choose, I'm gonna choose the one that I feel like makes me the happiest. So since we're on this topic, I've gotten like, what did you used to do before? What's your occupation? All those things. So I do YouTube full time. That's what I do. I run CraftyGirl, this channel you're watching on, and I run CraftyGirl vlogs. So that's what I do now. When I was in the corporate world, I really didn't like mentioning what I was doing. I didn't think that it was honestly relevant at all. It was private information. It's been several years now, and what I did was a little complicated to talk about. It was in the mortgage field, but basically I was an architect. I designed software. So that's what I did. And what's funny is I've never mentioned this. I don't think I've mentioned this, but we have clients, and I've had some clients recognize me. I don't know if they still watch me or not, like what goes on. Obviously not my clients anymore, but that was a kind of a tough one for me, just because what I did was very like serious and, you know, always busy and doing the things. And then YouTube was just my normal, you know, my normal self, my normal. So it's just like, yeah, I guess I felt some type of way about it. But in terms of like the question of, you know, going from corporate to this, what ended up happening, and I loved my boss so much. I respected him so much. So what was happening was I could never say no. He just relied a lot on me, and so they had me do not only my designing work, but it was like they wanted me to do project management and then all these other things for the client. And it outside of what I was basically paid to do, and it was a lot. I was spread too thin, and it was the right thing, honestly, just all the way around. It was the right thing for me to go. But because I respected my boss so much, I think that's why I held on as long as I did, because I just didn't ever want to let him down. And but I was taking the hit in the process. So I was asked if I could only watch one movie for the rest of my life, what would it be? And then same for a book. I've actually thought about this. So Sierra, very good question. Love you too, girl, by the way. And I've thought long and hard about this, and I thought, okay, one movie for the rest of my life, what would that be? And the answer is Loki. The answer is Goonies. Now, even though it's my favorite movie, that doesn't necessarily mean like I would want to watch it for the rest of my life. But the reason why I still picked it for that answer is because I feel like I get so much out of it. I love the setting. There's daytime shots, there's nighttime shots, and I love that. I love when, you know, it's like there's just different weather and things going on. I love that the ocean is in it. I love that it's like fun and exciting. I love the music. I love the comedy. I also really like the fact that it's kind of giving you somewhere between summer and fall vibes, because they are kind of like going back to school, or they're like in school. So yeah, there's just something about like seasonal things being in movies, and I just feel like Goonies is a good all-around answer. As far as books go, I have not thought, to be honest, very hard about this. I'm just gonna tell you the one at the top of my head, and it's called The Prize by Julie Garwood. The concept is so cute, and I kind of remember like gasping a little bit at like the plot of how she structured it. Basically, this king is going to give his men the ability to fight for this girl's hand. She is the prize because she also comes with this like property essentially. But then when she gets there, she shows up, she's really nervous, she's already met this guy and she can't stand him, but you know what I mean, but she can. And she ends up doing something for the king, and then the king reverses the role and makes the men the prize and she gets to pick. And I was just like, are you still working on writing a novel? The answer is yes. That is like my ultimate dream. It's been my dream since I was a little girl. I've been writing since I was a little girl. And in a lot of ways, I'm disappointed in myself. I don't know why I haven't made it come to fruition. But I'm working on it. How many pounds do you think Loki will be when full grown? Loki will most certainly reach 145 for sure, if not 155. The next question is by Ainsley. Were you nervous for people in your life to find your YouTube channel when you first started? Yes. And in a way, I'm still kind of like that. I've never really like offered the information per se, but it's kind of like at this point, my closest family know. But I have not even like shared it with my dad. So I don't know. There's just something about it where it just didn't come so naturally for me to be like, oh, look at what I'm doing. I think because of me coming from a different generation. And I feel like it's a lot easier for like the younger kids kind of coming up. You know, they grew up around this technology, I grew up on a beeper, okay? I didn't get any beeps. There were no beeps to be had because if you had to beep, you had to use a landline or stop at a payphone, and not one of us, you know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, so I mean, the answer is yes. I mean, at this point, I feel like people know and they know, and it is what it is. So I've gotten used to it for sure. Why are you only focusing on junk journal? Switching it with other interesting content would be good. Sorry, I don't know if I understand that last part. How do I say this? And because of that, I go through different interests and different things, and you watch me grow as a person, and you can change your mind. Different things can become appealing or not appealing, and I'm in this place where I'm really enjoying junk journaling, and whatever you see is really you watching my way through life. Essentially, you're watching what interests me and what doesn't. So I hope hopefully that answers. It's not that I'm only focusing on junk journal for a specific reason. It's just my current interest. Like for example, you know, I really stopped doing a lot of my planning videos. I wasn't inspired anymore. They weren't, compared to everything, there was a lot that factored into this decision. I get asked all the time for planning videos, and the amount of work that goes into them compared to like how I felt about doing it and compared to the views, it just wasn't adding up. I was having a lot more fun with the other videos that I do now, and everything just like, and y'all seem to like it too. So there's that. I've been asked, am I dating anyone? I've gotten a lot of those questions. The answer is no, I'm not dating anybody right now. And it's been a long time since I've officially dated someone. And it's kind of nuts, I'm not gonna lie. Like, in a lot of ways, I can kind of separate myself and look at myself kind of like how you're looking at me, and I'm like, you good? Like, it's been a while. But when I think about all the relationships I've been through, and I just, you know, in my 20s, I just wasn't good at them. I really wasn't. When I was younger, I was very insecure, argumentative. Probably a lot of that was maybe from postpartum. I never really was checked or took care of myself after I had my daughter at 18 years old and taking care of her when I was sick, when I had to go to work, trying to get her to daycare, trying to make sure we had food. There were times we didn't. Like, it was just, and I imagine that, you know, my body chemically was completely off and thus resulted in just really failed relationships. On both parts, not just me, by the way. But I've had, I would say, like 2 decent relationships, and but I really wanted to just focus on me, focus on my daughter. That was actually one of the biggest reasons why I stopped dating after my last relationship. I just looked back at my history and I was just like, too much dating, too much trying to find the right guy. I just wanted to watch my daughter grow up. I wanted to watch her go through high school. And so I did that. And then when she graduated, I was just like, I still don't care to date. Because what I learned in those 4 years was that I still needed more time to myself. I liked being in my own space. And maybe I'm better off this way. Not everyone is maybe meant to date and meant to marry. And I think even God talks about like people that are meant to be single, and maybe that's me, maybe it's not. I'm sure that it would clearly just take the right man for me. And I'm not saying that I'm not gonna entertain that. I will be completely open to that, but I know that I don't want to sacrifice what has made me happy. And the thing about relationships, it's a compromise. Am I willing to compromise? That's the thing. I don't know. I've been alone so long that now it's kind of like, can I share my life? I don't know. I would say like probably the most ideal thing for me right now, like thinking about it at the top of my head, would probably just be to date somebody who kind of has the same like feeling. You know, you necessarily don't want to like live together, but you want to share time together. That would probably be like the most ideal thing for me. So there's that answer. Currently not dating anybody. I was asked by Elizabeth, can I put Loki in the beginning of all of my Dollar Tree hauls? Just asking. You ask and you shall receive. He's insane. The question is, do you want to see the items? So a lot of these questions I've already been asked and I think have been like answered in previous Q&As. I'm not sure, you guys, like, you know my memory. I get asked all the time about like relationships with my mom, my dad, like, and I get it. I think what happens is I do share so much of my life. So when there are things on your end that you feel like, oh, you know, this isn't mentioned, I completely understand the curiosity. But I just simply don't mention absolutely everything, you know, but I do feel how you would want to know that on your end, if that makes sense. So, but I think I've answered some of these. I'll try to find my previous Q&As and link them down below. Will I be decorating for summer and fall? And the answer is yes. I know you haven't seen it. I didn't end up doing Valentine's Day. Spring, I did like a couple of little things, but what happened is that I redecorated my whole house, which you guys saw like after Christmas. Honestly, I surprised myself. I just started hitting every room and I was tired. I was like, I want to get this house done. And I also changed my aesthetic a little bit. I started adding some Victorian things and stuff, and I think I just wanted to simply enjoy, you know, all of those things. So, but I will get right back into seasonal decorating, holiday decorating, because it's like my favorite thing. And Dollar Tree and decorating with you guys is like my most happiest thing ever. Why do you seem to not have a friend? I don't know if that was an insult or not, but that's another thing too for me. I have my brother. He is my best friend, and for me it's quality over quantity. There's a lot of people who have different personalities, and I feel like, and I could be wrong, but reading your comment, you probably have a few friends, if not a lot of friends. So seeing somebody that doesn't, it's kind of a hard concept to understand. Like for example, my sister-in-law, she is just the sweetest person on the earth, has so many friends. I can see why. She is a great hostess. She loves that. It's not my vibe personally. So me not having friends, I feel like I do. I just don't do my life the way other people do it. I like being home. I like doing these things. I've been there, done that. I've had all the friends. I've gone out, and honestly, even then I was just like, I just want to go home. Are you ever going to do videos again on crafting or planning? I think I kind of answered that. I am trying to figure out right now how I want to handle that, because what I don't want to do is start throwing in more variety of content. Unless I feel like I just want to change everything that I'm doing, which I can, right? Like I talked about, you're watching me go through my life and me grow, and you know, I could change my mind and completely stop doing Dollar Tree hauls and stuff, and I could just end up doing all planner. But I'm not there. I love Dollar Tree so much. So for me, I'm still in that ballpark. So in terms of planning, I just don't think right now it's going to be on this channel. So right now I'm trying to figure out how does it fit into my vlogs. So I'm considering doing like a Patreon kind of thing, where if you want to watch that content, then you will exclusively get that content, but you'd have to like have a subscription to it. So that's kind of where I'm at. What has been my favorite type of house decor? That's a really good question, and I have an answer for you because I just really kind of said it to myself just the other day. French country cottage. Have you ever thought of just meeting a guy for just coffee just to see if it's fun to get out and talk to people? But the answer is no, I've not thought of that. Do you set up doggy play dates for Loki? We have like a neighborhood thing, and I have a couple of like the mom's numbers, but we also know that we'll all be there at the same time, the same day. Favorite 90s TV show? That's a very good question. I would say the one that just immediately pops in my head would probably be Sabrina the Teenage Witch with Melissa Joan Hart. I feel like I'm drawing a slight little blank, but Frasier. Frasier was 90s, so Frasier first. Yeah, I don't know what just happened there. Frasier first, but I also really like Sabrina the Teenage Witch. What am I most looking forward to in the future? I'm looking forward to still sharing my journey with you guys and hoping that you still love the content. You know, that's a thing. You wonder if you'll still be relevant and entertaining, and so I always think about how I would love to just say to you guys, can you believe we've all been here for like 10 years, 15 years? Like, I think about that all the time, and hoping that you're there right along with me. I also hope that I'm a writer. Will you be my BFF? Yes, I will. Apparently I need friends. Do I ever get scared in my home? No, I don't. Loki? No, not with Loki. And this neighborhood's very protected. As a matter of fact, while I was filming this, a cop rolled by twice. They're always here patrolling. Not security, cops. So I have cameras, security system. No, I don't get scared. How long have you lived in Texas? Since I was 6.5-ish years old. I'm 40 now, so do the math. I was also asked, do you tell your daughter not to get married young? I'm not sure I understand, or like if that was structured the wrong way. I do not tell my daughter kind of like what she can and can't do. I'm an advocate for telling her that it's her life and she needs to decide what that's gonna look like. I do lend the experience I have had, And from what she has told me, she wants to like live it up in her 20s. And I'm like, yes, go for it. But you know, I didn't have that opportunity. So for me, it sounds appealing, but I have to remember it's not about me, it's about her. So whether she wants to get married and start a family, do all those things, like, it's her life. That's actually something when she was younger, I found myself putting her in soccer, doing all the things that I used to do. And then I don't know what happened. I literally, like, I had a moment where everything switched. I remember, and I have a bad memory, but I remember this. I remember looking at her and thinking, what am I doing? Like, this isn't her. She doesn't enjoy this. She doesn't like this. This isn't me. This isn't me going through this. This is her going through it. And that's actually how she got into cheerleading, because that's what she wanted to do. So, and it was actually a really beautiful, good moment where I was just like, I let it go. And it clicked in my brain that she is her own person. And you know, so anyways, I don't know if that makes sense. All right, let's get to some juicy ones. I hope you guys like the longer one, the longer Q&A today. What's something you should have gotten in trouble for but got away with? I feel like as a kid, I did everything that I was supposed to do, essentially. Like, overall, I would say I was a very good kid. Raising Micah, I mean, I didn't have time to really like get myself into trouble, you know, or so I wish I had a juicy answer for this. You know what? One time, here we go. One time, my best friend and I in high school, we got dressed up like we were in Clueless. That was the vibe then. The pleated plaid skirts, the thigh highs or the knee highs, the Mary Janes. Oh, what a time! Of course, it was all her outfits because I didn't get clothes like that. But I think we went to like a field behind her house. I think we tried to light it on fire. I just said I was a good kid and didn't do anything. It didn't catch fire. Have I ever performed stand-up comedy or considered it? I am not that funny. Absolutely not. People would have to be refunded. Best memory ever with my daughter, I would say hands down. This one comes to my mind immediately. And we also, cat's out of the bag, I said this the other day, but I've kept her name literally a secret for the longest time. I did not ever release where she went to college, although a lot of people just had to like snoop and know, but like whatever. Obviously for security reasons, and I could get into some of the crazy things where the campus like had to know and like protect all that stuff. But anyways, Texas Tech, and we had to move her out. I'm trying to remember though, was it freshman year? Was it move out of her freshman year? It wasn't her sophomore year. I don't know what we were doing, but we went there, we drove there and came back in one day. And it's like a 5-hour drive. We did the drive there and back. By the time we were coming back home, we were Looney Tunes. We laughed so hard on that drive back. It was the best time of our lives. I will never forget it. I need to call Micah down here. Let me call her down here for this. But I would say that was just the best memory. Just like being in the car and laughing. I think there was a point where we were dancing to music, and I wish I could find these videos because I don't think I ever released them. How do I feel about her being in the public eye now? Oh man, a part of me is relieved, because the thing is that I feel like when you don't want to share something, people automatically assume that you're like hiding something, and you're not. You just want to be protective and you want to be private. But I'm also watching myself. You know, I'm watching what I'm saying, and it's kind of nice. Like, I'm filming my Q&A, and somebody asked what was the best memory we had, and the first one that came to mind, what do you think it was? I want to know if it was for you. I don't know.
It was when we drove to Lubbock and came back in the same day.
Oh yeah, that was intense.
That was hilarious. But like, I told them about the bottle cap in your bra. But like, what?
I was wondering where it went.
I got that on camera because we were singing, weren't we? We were like singing and dancing.
And you were like, what?
And I stopped, I was like, what is it? And Micah goes, I was looking for that. Hey! There she is. What is on your shirt?
We be doing that, you hide evidence. It's evident that you ready to ride.
But like, what happened on that trip? Was it freshman year move out?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. But like, what else happened on that on the ride home?
We kept wanting to drive an 18-wheeler.
Like, that's the state we were in. We were done. Then another question I got asked was, from one Gen X to another, how do you really feel about millennials nowadays? I actually think I'm a millennial. I don't, because I think my daughter and I are actually in the same, like, ballpark according to our age. I think 1980 is like the end of Gen X, right? And 81 and up is millennial, so I think I'm technically a millennial. I don't know, someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I was born 1981. So, but essentially, in terms of maybe just like the kids, like in her age range, you know, that's a very personal question, because what I'm learning nowadays is it's kind of like you can't really say anything, and because it's gonna be offensive. And it's like, it's a sad thing, that you kind of wonder, is there free speech without like the backlash and the consequences? I think that we're all here on earth, all trying to go through it as best as we can, and making mistakes and learning, hopefully, and growing. I've made a lot of the same mistakes over and over. That's a lot of reasons why I keep myself so closed in and closed off, because if you really start to like talk about what you think, you get attacked if it's not the same as the other person. Like, you know, everyone's gonna have like a different point of view, and the reason for that is because everyone has a different walk of life, and you can only see life from your perspective, from the footprints of your life. You don't understand life from somebody else's footprints. And I, like me too, you know, I can only understand from what I've been through. But also at the end of the day, we're also human. It's hard not to like have an opinion or kind of have judgment. It is a generation that I think needs a little bit more compassion for people having difference of opinions, and not being so like wired and you know, if everything doesn't match up. Oh wow, this one asked a lot of questions. Frasier, I Love Lucy, or Golden Girls, only one can be with you on an island? You're doing me dirty. That's a dirty question, because you know I can't answer that. But Frasier, I Love Lucy, or Golden Girls, only one can be on an island. Am I getting off the island eventually, or is like that it? Like, I'm on an island, I'm not getting off kind of thing? If that's the case, I would say I Love Lucy. If there's a potential for me to get off the island, I would say Frasier. This next question said, I just saw Megan's video where Micah called you a queen. What is your response to that? It was very sweet. It's always really nice when like your only child obviously says the nicest things about you. I want it to be known though, like, just to keep it on the real, you know, we have had our struggles. I don't want anyone to ever think that we're perfect, because we're not. But we do have a very good, fun dynamic together. And her calling me that, I mean, it kind of makes me emotional a little bit too, just because she's not very like sappy in a way. And so for her to say that. It was really sweet, but she's also been very supportive of me. So I know that she looks up to me and that she sees my independence. So, and whenever your kids do say stuff like that, and in that moment when I watched her and the way she was talking about me, what ends up happening, at least in my brain, I don't know if any other mother can attest to this, but when they say little Easter eggs like that, I guess you could say, you really see how you've raised them. I guess what I'm trying to say is you kind of wonder if they're paying attention, if they're listening to you when you are giving them advice, you know, because you don't know if it's going through one ear and out the other. So when they make comments like that, it's one of those moments where not only is the comment very nice, but it's even more so like they've been listening. All right, I'm just gonna rapid fire a couple of them. If I could have brunch with anyone, dead or alive, who would you choose? I'd probably choose Robin Williams. Will you vlog more on your beach vacay this year? I absolutely will. And guess who else is gonna be vlogging? Megan, Micah. I'm sure you're gonna have all kinds of content. So very excited to share that with you guys. What's the story with your parents? You don't talk about them much. Again, I explained that. It's not so much of hiding it. I'm just by nature a more private person. There are things I'm comfortable talking about, and then there are things that I just don't mention, and not for any particular reason other than some things just don't seem relevant. Maybe in this part of my life that I need to share that, if that makes sense. What is my most favorite holiday and why? What do you like to do during that season? I have to say, and I feel like this is probably a big chunk of a lot of people, but there's something incredibly magical about fall. And I'm gonna say it again, but I think the reason for that is it's like the gateway. It's like the gates into the just such nice weather, and then you get into all the holidays, fall, you know, just fall in general, and then you've got Halloween and Thanksgiving, and you know, it's like, it's just such a fun time. It's a couple months where so much is packed into it, and just, it's fall. There's something so magical about it. Just so cozy. Why can't we put into words what fall is? Because I feel like a lot of you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's just, you can't explain it. It's just magical. So I feel like I'm probably going to end up filming a part 2 to this, because there's a bunch of other questions that I could do, and I need to get like these clips edited into the first clips, and that video that I'm looking at right now is already 40 minutes long. So I'm gonna try to like condense it a little bit. But I do hope you guys enjoyed kind of getting to know me a little bit better. Thank you so much for being here, for again being supportive. I hope you guys love the Q&A. I'm gonna continue filming after this, but this will be like kind of the part 2. So that's that. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.